Being intelligent does not make you immune to manipulation. Sometimes it makes you easier to manipulate, because smart people don't just believe information. They build explanations. They create reasons why something makes sense. They defend their decisions, and that is exactly where skilled manipulators find an opening. The most dangerous manipulation does not begin with a lie. It begins with trust. A person who listens to you, a person who understands your problems, a person who makes you feel like they are on your side. And slowly, without realizing it, you start protecting someone who is taking advantage of you. Not because you are weak, not because you are naive, but because your brain is designed to trust, cooperate, and search for consistency. A skilled manipulator doesn't need to control your actions. They only need to influence the story you tell yourself. And once that happens, your own mind can start doing the work for them. Most people imagine manipulation happening to someone careless, someone who ignores obvious warning signs, someone who makes reckless decisions. But real manipulation rarely looks like that. The most effective manipulators do not appear dangerous. They appear helpful. They appear confident. They appear trustworthy. They know how to create connection before they create control. And this is why intelligent people can become targets, because intelligence helps you solve problems. But manipulation is not always a problem of logic. Sometimes it is a problem of perception. You can have a high level of intelligence and still miss what is happening right in front of you, because the human brain does not analyze every interaction like a scientist. It uses shortcuts. Those shortcuts help you survive daily life. They help you trust people, make decisions faster, build relationships. But the same shortcuts can be exploited, and manipulators understand exactly where those shortcuts exist. The first mistake people make is believing manipulation only works on weak people. It doesn't. Manipulation often works on people with qualities that are normally considered strengths. People who are loyal, people who are generous, people who give others another chance, people who believe relationships are worth protecting. These qualities make someone a good friend, a good partner, a good teammate. But they can also create openings. A manipulator does not usually start by taking something from you. They start by giving you a reason to give, a favor, a compliment, a feeling that you are special. And once trust is established, the rules begin to change. The first stage of manipulation is rarely control. It is connection. A skilled manipulator understands that people do not open doors for strangers. They open doors for people they trust. So they create trust first. They ask questions. They remember small details. They make you feel seen. And slowly your brain starts categorizing this person as safe. This is not a mistake. This is normal human psychology. Without trust, relationships would be impossible. But trust becomes dangerous when someone uses it as a tool. A manipulator may not begin with a huge request. They start small, a small favor, a small sacrifice, a small exception, something that feels harmless, then another, until the behavior that once felt unusual starts feeling normal. Psychologist Robert Cialdini identified one of the strongest principles of human influence: reciprocity. The idea is simple. When someone gives us something, we naturally feel pressure to give something back. This principle helps society work. It creates cooperation. It builds friendships. But manipulators understand the hidden weakness inside this system. A feeling of obligation can be created. Someone helps you. Then later, they remind you of that help. I was there for you when nobody else was. After everything I've done for you. Now the conversation is no longer about the favor. It is about a debt you never agreed to owe. But the strongest manipulation often happens after you already invested. Your time, your emotions, your reputation, your identity. Because once you commit to something, your brain wants to stay consistent. This is called commitment bias. People naturally prefer to believe that their past choices were reasonable. Because admitting a mistake creates discomfort. Imagine realizing someone you trusted was using you. The painful question is not only, did they manipulate me? The painful question is, why did I allow this to happen? And the brain often protects you from that pain. Maybe they didn't mean it. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. Maybe things will get better. These thoughts are not proof that someone is weak. They are proof that the human brain tries to protect its own story. But there is an even deeper trap. Some manipulators do not just create trust, they create confusion. And confusion can become one of the strongest emotional hooks the human brain experiences. Because when you cannot predict someone's behavior, you start working harder to understand it. And that is exactly where the next psychological trap begins. One of the strongest psychological traps in manipulation is uncertainty. When someone's behavior changes unpredictably, your brain starts searching for an explanation. Why were they kind yesterday, but distant today? Why did they make you feel important, then suddenly make you feel invisible? This pattern creates emotional confusion. Psychologists call one part of this process intermittent reinforcement, a reward that appears unpredictably. And unpredictable rewards can become extremely powerful. Think about a machine that gives a reward every single time. Eventually, you understand the pattern. But when the reward appears randomly, your brain keeps trying. One more attempt, one more chance, one more time. The uncertainty keeps your attention locked. In human relationships, this can appear as a cycle. Warmth, distance, warmth again, distance again. The positive moments become something you chase. And slowly you stop asking, is this person treating me well? Instead, you start asking, how do I get the good version of them back? This is where manipulation becomes difficult to recognize. Because the brain does something surprising. It starts protecting the person who created the confusion. You may ignore patterns that would be obvious if they happened to someone else. You may explain away behavior you would normally question. You may defend someone while quietly feeling exhausted. Why? Because accepting the truth can create a painful conflict. If you admit someone is manipulating you, you also have to admit that your previous beliefs about them may have been wrong. And the human brain does not like that conflict. Psychologist Leon Festinger called this cognitive dissonance, the uncomfortable feeling when your beliefs and reality do not match. Your brain tries to remove the discomfort, sometimes by changing your belief, but sometimes by changing your interpretation of reality. They are not controlling me. They are just having a difficult time. They didn't mean it that way. Maybe those explanations are true, but sometimes they are simply your brain trying to protect a decision you already made. Manipulation does not only happen in personal relationships. Sometimes it comes from people who look powerful, experts, leaders, successful figures, people who appear like they have everything figured out. The human brain uses shortcuts. One of those shortcuts is authority. When someone looks knowledgeable or successful, we naturally give their words more weight. This shortcut exists for a reason. You cannot personally verify every piece of information you receive. You trust a doctor because they have training. You trust an engineer because they have expertise. The problem begins when someone uses the appearance of authority without the evidence behind it. Bernie Madoff built one of the largest financial frauds in history. His victims included wealthy individuals, organizations, and experienced investors. These were not people who simply ignored obvious warnings. Many were successful and educated. The reason the deception worked was not only financial, it was psychological. Madoff created an image, a reputation, a feeling that he was someone people could trust. People saw successful investors around him. They saw confidence. They saw exclusivity. They saw someone who appeared too established to be fake. The lesson is uncomfortable. People do not always trust evidence. Sometimes they trust signals that feel like evidence. Confidence, status, popularity, reputation. These signals can influence our decisions before we even examine the facts. And this is why intelligence alone is not enough. Because intelligence does not remove human psychology. A smart person can still trust the wrong person. A smart person can still defend a bad decision. A smart person can still miss a manipulation pattern. The real skill is not believing that you are impossible to fool. The real skill is knowing where your own blind spots exist. The goal is not to become suspicious of everyone. That is not intelligence. That is fear. The real skill is learning when your own brain may be searching for comfort instead of truth. A smart person does not ask, "How can I make sure nobody fools me?" Because nobody has perfect protection. A smarter question is, what evidence would make me change my mind? The first defense against manipulation is slowing down. Manipulators benefit from speed, fast decisions, strong emotions, pressure. When something feels urgent, create distance. Give yourself time to think. Ask yourself, would I make the same decision if I had one more week to think about it? The second defense is watching patterns, not promises. Anyone can say the right thing. Anyone can apologize. Anyone can make a promise. Patterns reveal reality. A single moment can be misunderstood. But repeated behavior tells a different story. The third defense is testing boundaries. Pay attention to what happens when you say no. A healthy person may disagree. A healthy person may feel disappointed, but they respect your decision. A manipulator treats your boundary as something to overcome. They negotiate, they pressure. They make you feel guilty for protecting yourself. And finally, separate your feelings from your evidence. Your feelings matter, but feelings are not always proof. You can care about someone and still question their behavior. You can trust someone and still verify. You can admit you were wrong without admitting you were foolish. That is not weakness. That is psychological strength. Smart people do not avoid manipulation because they are impossible to fool. They avoid manipulation because they understand the human mind. They know that trust is powerful. But trust without awareness can become a weakness. The biggest psychological heist is not when someone takes something from you. It is when they convince you to hand it over willingly. Your time, your energy, your confidence, your ability to see clearly. The best defense is not becoming colder. It is becoming more aware. But the most dangerous manipulation goes even deeper. Some people do not just influence your choices. They influence your perception of reality. They make you question your own memory, your instincts, your judgment. That is the psychology behind gaslighting, and that is the next psychological heist we need to uncover.